What's up, y'all? It's your girl, Cornelia, back with another episode of Black News, a podcast where we break down current events, hot topics, and local stories involving Black people. Now let's get into it. Child, y'all been cutting up in the new year for the 9-5. Okay, I know it ain't 1995, but y'all been cutting up. Shout out to, listen, first, back up. Happy New Year, y'all. Happy 2024. I, for one, am excited about the new year. I'm pretty excited every year, but I feel like I'm very clear on a lot of things that I want to do. And I have a long list of action items. So I'm in this new year excited and I'm not putting too much pressure on myself, because I've learned a long time ago that setting myself up for things, just putting the pressure on myself can backfire. Which is why I stopped doing like physical vision boards, because I will be staring at the vision board, and when stuff didn't happen, I will be very disappointed and very distraught about it. However, I'm doing a virtual vision board now with, this virtual Canva, and my goals are more specific. Also at the top of the list, again, I'm still exploring how to make Black News a visual podcast as well as audio. I know some of the listeners like to listen to it in the car, on the subway, or while they doing dishes or cooking or hanging out with family and doing whatever it is that people do. But I'm also trying to figure out how to make it a visual podcast. I hear y'all. I know the trends. I see what people are doing. It's just more so about time and logistics, because while that is the best way to get audio and video out multiple ways. One is more money, and two is more time, which are some of the things that I'm trying to figure out, because as of now, I can spend the money, but I don't know how to carve out that time, because I would have to shoot it and I will have to edit both video and audio. Right now, I just don't have the time to do both of those. But I'm trying to figure out if I can find a place or a way that I can shoot this in the evening on one particular day, and they edit the video and the audio for a reasonable price. We in there. So I'm just letting y'all know, one of the top priorities for me is to figure that out. I ain't one of the people who got time during the day. I can't be popping around no podcast studio at 1 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. I'm busy in the day. So that's one of the roadblocks. But I will work on it once I get some actionable plans and figure it out. Y'all know I'm going to let y'all know what it is. So just letting y'all know, the Black News listeners are top priority for one of my goals for 2024, because y'all my dogs. Okay, gots to do it. Okay, so that was just some quick action items. Happy New Year to y'all. Feel free to share with me what your 2024 goals are, what you plan to aspire towards. Health and happiness, I'm sure, is on the list, but feel free to share that with me. Okay, with that, let's get into how y'all was cutting up. And I'm not talking about y'all, but y'all probably was cutting up too, because everybody was cutting up over the holiday break and some things that we missed. Okay, so 2 things to button up before we get into the major cut up items that have been tearing us up as a people. Okay, button up items. 1, Jonathan Majors. Okay, we were here on Black News. We discussed the trial. There was an outcome. That man has not been sentenced yet, but just buttoning up the fact that we were correct in our thinking that he, in fact, does think that Megan Good is his Coretta Scott King. Okay. That man did an interview with ABC, which personally, I think he should have done this a long time ago. I think he should have got out in front of all of the chatter early on in the situation. And I'm assuming his legal team, which wasn't the best if you ask me, looked like he went to the Groupon and got the legal team. I thought that they would have had him do some form of damage control earlier, especially when they were dropping that information, and it was just working against him. Maybe they didn't want him to say anything that could contradict or could hurt the case, but nothing could have hurt it any more than it already had, because the court of public opinion was whooping up on him. So the interview with ABC finally came out as he awaits sentencing. And like I mentioned, the brother said that Megan was Coretta Scott King.
His new girlfriend, actress Megan Good, has remained by his side, even present for our interview. How would you describe your relationship?
She's an angel. She's held me down like a Coretta, you know? I'm so blessed to have her, you know? The relationship is still fresh, but, you know, I think I found her.
I need him to stop it right now. I need this man. I need him to stop it right now. Okay? He ain't on social media, but low key, I think he got a burner. Everybody got a burner. If you ain't on there, them people, I don't really do social media. I'm not really on there like that. They got burners. Okay, let's keep it $115. They be having burners. So I know his team, somebody, homeboys, whoever done told him that they tearing his ass up over on the socials about the Coretta Scott King and Michelle Obama comment that he made towards Grace Jabari. And when he was doing the interview with the woman from ABC, she did a great job. You could tell before he was saying the word Coretta in regards to Megan Good, he was thinking about it. He was like, should I? She's like a Coretta. Sir, cut it out. We got to find another reference, okay? I don't want you, when you describe it, and this goes for everyone. If you're listening, Black News listener, and you in a relationship, and you got a girlfriend, a wife, a spouse, significant other, partner, whatever, please don't use a civil rights leader as your reference point for who you want in a woman, because it can go different ways, right? He could genuinely feel like he wants somebody who embodies the goals or the stature of a Coretta Scott King, because on the surface, you think about it, I'm assuming, again, allegedly, whatever, he's thinking stood by a great man, strong woman, helping raise the family, the children, help to guide or to chart a path towards a stronger legacy. But what it also does is, to me, says, you really didn't know nothing about Coretta Scott King, honey, because Miss Coretta Scott King was at work before she even got with Martin. Okay, she was about that business of civil rights before she even got with Martin, and had her own legacy after he died. So do you just want somebody that's gonna hold you down, or you want somebody about the business of Black people? I'm just confused. That's all I'm saying. The point is, I need that brother to stop it. Okay, I need him to stop. But that is what it is. Watch the ABC interview. It's been running all week. Okay, quality entertainment. What do I think is gonna happen with Jonathan Majors in his career? Somebody asked me that today. I do not know. I honestly do not know. We just going to stand by and see. Another thing that I was cutting up on, I just want to button up real quick. Simone Biles' husband. Simone Biles' husband was getting mollywopped all over social media after his interview on The Pivot, which is a really great podcast. A shout out to the guys of The Pivot, Channing, Ryan, and Fred, who have been going strong for about a solid year or two. I think it's maybe 2 years now. Great interviews, great insight, a good mix of personalities within. And they interview anybody from athletes, former athletes, to people within the social realm of even Black and whiteness. Honestly, so it's just a good podcast. Somehow they done looped in Simone Biles' husband. His name Jonathan. I think it's Owens. Granted, I didn't know that man's name until after the interview. I just was calling him Simone Biles' husband like everybody else. But the clip that we all, and I know y'all all saw, went viral, was when they talked about how they met. And Simone Biles' husband was saying how she basically pursued him. He didn't know who she was. He don't really follow gymnastics like that. And it just didn't go over well. Like, the Twitter detectives proceeded to find old tweets from him actually knowing who some gymnastics people were. So they were saying, it's no way that you could not have known who Simone Biles was. We didn't know your name until just now. We had to Google Simone Biles' husband to find out. Even people on TikTok started taking to the streets. Women were flagging down their boyfriends or husbands who are extreme football fans and asking them, one, do you know who Simone Biles is? And they'd be like, yeah, she's an Olympic medalist, gold medalist. Then they'd be like, do you know who her husband is? And they'd be like, he only played. So it did not go well. But I want to say this, and y'all already probably know this. We're very smart people here over Black News listeners. One, don't have your wife looking crazy, your girlfriend, your spouse. Don't be having nobody out here looking crazy. When I get into relationships, I used to say this. I ain't been in a relationship for a very long time, so I don't know what I be saying now. But when I used to get into relationships, talking about those initial touch points and expectations, I would always say, don't have me out here looking crazy. Okay? Do not have me looking crazy. Don't do it. It ain't gonna go well. Don't be on a podcast talking about Simone Biles as if you the top dog in the relationship when it comes to notoriety. It's just never gonna happen. She's the best gymnast that ever lived. 2, because it was made to seem like she pursued her husband, which is cool. Some women be pursuing these men. That's fine. As a man, you ain't got to be out here like, just shut up if she pursued you. I don't know. I just didn't like how he was trying to present her initial interest in him. It just didn't sit well with me. I just did not like it. But after the interview went viral, they both were on social media, basically, saying we still together. Y'all ain't done yet. It was just, they seem to not care about it. So if they don't care, I don't care. If y'all like it, we all like it. The point is, though, they done dragged that pole man, and now I think people will make a point to personally call him Simone Biles' husband. So those are just 2 button-up items to talk about before we move into the next bigger topic points that have went down during the break and are currently happening now. So, like many other Black people, I took the pilgrimage on down to the AMC theater. I went down to I pilgrimaged down to the Regal Theater and saw The Color Purple over Christmas break. Had a good old time. Cried about 4 times during the movie. Okay. As soon as it started and they started singing and dancing, I started crying. I be crying at these movies now. I don't care if it's new or if it's old. If I see it again, I'm a cry. And if it's a Chasing Your Dreams montage on top of that, oh, please, double whammy. I still cry when A League of Their Own come on, and I done seen that movie 100 times. Okay. This used to be our playground. This used to be our childhood dream. You talking about tearjerker? It ain't even a sad movie. Back to the point. Went on down to The Color Purple. Saw it, had a good time. Did not wear purple, but it was all good. But during the press run, which I was really happy to see. I talked about this when Creed was coming out. I love me some good old school, big budget press runs. I'm talking about promo, street, billboard, signage, interviews, and thank God the writers and the actors strike ended, because they wouldn't have been able to do that with this. But I'm talking about press galore. all of the cast, Fantasia, Danielle Brooks, Taraji P. Henson, Coleman Domingo, Corey Hawkins, Oprah Winfrey, everybody was on tip top, okay, when it came to press runs and promo for this movie. Glad to see it. Now, Taraji P. Henson, who is a legend, and again, we love us some Taraji P. Henson. Okay, feel very relatable. I relate a lot to Taraji and her story and her background. Same way I do to Jada Pinkett Smith. Don't get me going on Jada Pinkett Smith. You know that's my girl. But she has been very vocal over the years, and even currently now, about the pay inequities within Hollywood, especially when it comes to Black actresses. That ain't no news story. We know this. Just like we know in corporate America, it's the same. Just like we know it. She was talking about the pay inequities when it came to her career and how she has to keep fighting and to keep starting over, feels like, and it's hard. And if she wants to pave the way for the younger actors coming behind her, she needs to say something, but she's just tired and the math ain't mathing. She said a lot of things, but that's kind of the gist of it. At some point, she even mentioned how she almost turned down or had to walk away from The Color Purple because of similar things, right? Because of pay inequities. She not getting what she needed to get. And the director, Blitz, I forget Blitz's last name, even has spoken about how he had to fight with the studios to get the actresses and the cast that he wanted. Because people, what we saw, y'all, in case y'all don't know this, when it's time for movie time, Hollywood and executives and producers in the studios just be throwing out names. Because I'm willing to bet when they was trying to cast this, studios was like, let's see if we can get J-Lo or Jennifer Hudson. I'm willing to bet they be just naming people. And you have to fight for the cast that you want, TV and film. It don't matter. Now, somewhere in this conversation, when Taraji P. Henson was talking, people automatically assumed that it was Oprah. And side note, if y'all hear the noise, y'all know be noisy in the background. The kids, we got the kid, the neighbors, the dog, and them barking. It's all good. It's all good. 2024. Shout out to 2024. People automatically said on social, when I say people, I'm talking about social media hit like wildfire and ran with this, that Oprah was single-handedly the top dog responsible for pay inequities within The Color Purple. That she should have made sure that the actors got however much or their fair pay, that because she was producing, one of the producers on this movie, that it all falls on her, and Oprah is the problem, and Oprah is bad, and y'all know how Oprah. She had to turn the comments off on her Instagram. Cast members had to come out in her defense. There was a girl on TikTok who was trying to do body language analyzations from videos and pictures when the cast was standing on top of the Empire State Building in New York City, and how it looked like they all hated each other, specifically all hated Oprah. It just was crazy. To the point where now during Golden Globes red carpet, Oprah had to address some of these things in real time. So let me say this, because a lot of people just don't know how it works with money in movies and TV. Oprah is a billionaire. We know this. Color Purple is a Warner Brothers film. During the actor strike and the writer strike, you kept hearing people say the studios. We need money, fair pay from the studios. The studios. In this case, that is Warner Brothers. That is not Oprah. Just because there is a popular and rich celebrity attached to a movie does not negate that the budget for that film and project comes from the studios. We've been talking about this for months. It's the studios. They are responsible for the negotiations with actors, producers, writers, with their teams. So when Taraji P. Henson is saying she hasn't been receiving equitable pay, and she had to make a call into Oprah to talk about it and all this other stuff, she's talking about the studios, because Warner Brothers sets budgets. They set the negotiation and they're handling the rates, not Oprah. Producers are not in the conversations about that money. Why? Because they're negotiating their money as well. Producers do not fund movies out of their pocket unless, in most cases, it's an independent film. Some independent movies, some small, super small budget movies, sometimes you gotta raise money. It be coming from other places, not big studios. That's why people want studio films, so they don't have to find the money. Oprah is not in the finance office or is not in the Warner Brothers office with a spreadsheet determining what people should get paid. She's not even looped into those. In most cases, they're not looped into those conversations. They're not looped in. That is not their job. That is the heads of studios, which are usually predominantly white men. That's what we've been talking about, y'all, for the last few years. We've been screaming this. We went on strike against the studios, the AMPTP. That is a perfect example of why. They always talking about they ain't got no money. When people say movies don't sell overseas for black actors, that be the studios talking about this. It ain't Oprah. I just want to clear that up first. Second, the actors were talking about on the promo run how at one point they didn't even have individual trailers and there was no real food on set. They had to call Oprah and say something and let her know because she had no clue. Oprah made a call and got it rectified. That is an example of how women, in this particular instance, a black woman used her clout to get something rectified that she initially wasn't responsible for anyway. Y'all really sitting up here and thinking, I'm not talking about y'all the black news listeners, I'm talking about the crazy people who's on social media talking. Y'all really think that Oprah is out here working with production houses and production companies and craft services vendors to book food and to book trailers and to assign trailers? Y'all really think the producers that I think Oprah would be doing that? There's so many different levels of crew involved in producing a movie. The celebrity producer is not responsible for that. Because I'm going to tell you one thing to compare it to, because I bet y'all won't come out y'all mouth and assume this. Steven Spielberg and Quincy Jones also are producers. Because why y'all ain't lighting them two up and thinking that they were supposed to be booking trailers and craft services? Craft services is the food. That's the food service on set. Same with rental cars. We also just found out that the actors were told that they would have to rent cars and drive themselves to set, which could be an extreme, what's the word I want to use? It is a liability. We saw I forget years ago which show it was, but actors were working long set days and responsible for driving themselves to the studio, to back and forth to set, and fell asleep at the wheel. It was some accident, something crazy happened. Taraji had to then also called Oprah to let her know, and Oprah made the call to the top dog and said, we need to rectify this. If we get one person car service, we got to give everybody car service. Oh, well, we got to do what we got to do. These studios not poor. It is not Oprah's job to be booking car service. Y'all, I understand that over the years, things have happened that have made people feel like certain black women of significance or power are not on the side of the black people. Feel however you feel. Right now is not the time for me to try to sway people's opinion, because personally, I don't remember why people was even mad at Oprah, except for the fact that everybody get mad at somebody when they get too rich. When people get too rich, they get mad. But before we get mad in certain instances, I want us to learn the structure or learn what we're talking about so that we can speak with some type of information. That way we can look like we know what we're talking about. Because the minute I saw people get mad about Taraji P. Henson and her pay, and they was going back to Oprah, I immediately said, oh, these MFers don't know how it work. Salaries do not come out of the producer pocket. What do y'all talk about? she's a billionaire. Why can't she just pay her? That ain't how it works. Get mad at them studios like we were mad at for years and while we were striking. But that was the big thing, and it's still happening right now. So just trying to give y'all some context about how stuff works so that when y'all having conversations with people at work or at the family reunion or whatever on the phone with your auntie and them, when they start talking about it, y'all can give them the correct info because, hey, we got to start somewhere. Regardless, did y'all see The Color Purple? I had me a good old time. Did y'all like the reimagining in this version of it? Personally, I was thinking they were going to lean into the actual relationship between Suge and Celie a little more to mimic and to mirror the book, because in the book, honey, they went together. Okay, they was doing it. I thought because now it's 2024, they were going to lean more into that, but they actually it seemed more downplayed than it was in the original movie. But whatever. Let me know your thoughts about it in this overall situation. Hit me up on social media at Cornelia with your thoughts. Now, as a stand-up comedian, it would behoove me to not mention Katt Williams in his most recent interview on Shannon Sharp's podcast, Club Shay Shay, and the storm that has blown through the comedy community and the entire Black community overall, because I feel like everybody been talking about this interview in some capacity, regardless of what side you on. So I have to talk about it. Now, a couple things. First, soon as Katt Williams sat down, Shannon Sharp he said, hey, gave Katt his intro comedy, one of the comedy greats, blah, 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 did this, the Emmy Award winning Katt Williams. Y'all give it up, Katt Williams. Katt, how you doing, Katt Williams? And another thing, soon as Katt sat down, he went in. Had about 1,000 quotes that can be used, which is already annoying because Black people, when somebody give a quote, we gonna take hold of it and run it into the ground. They quoting Katt Williams like it's a Drake song back in the early 2010s. You would have thought this was on the Take Care of the album, okay? But anywho, Katt Williams took it upon himself to address all of the old heads in comedy, to claim joke thieves, to put people on blast. He talked about Jonathan Majors. He said comics got the light skin, weird faced girlfriends who don't do interviews. He even threw Diddy under the bus, further under than where he is. So a couple points, like I mentioned. One, people seem to have really chosen sides. I think once this interview dropped, I wasn't expecting on social media for people to be as like gung-ho behind particular comics. Like the Katt Williams fan base they really like aggressive with it. Like, no, it's Katt Williams or nothing. Katt Williams, my dog. Katt Williams, you better, if Katt didn't say Katt a real one, he a real. It's kind of weird. Now, I respect all of the OGs. I don't have no personal problems against none of the people that he mentioned. I have had some good run-ins with people. I have had, I wouldn't even say that I had some bad run-ins with any of the people that he mentioned. But I do know within the comedy community, some of the stuff that he talked about are conversations that have been happening for years. So from the comedy standpoint, none of this was actually surprising, because let me tell y'all one thing that people may not know. Them old heads, they be gossiping and they be at it more than you would think. You want to hear some comedy gossip? Talk to an old head. Okay, they be having all the information about who ain't getting them no money, who stole what, who did what back in the day, who was shady to get on Def Comedy Jam. I was not surprised, and I don't think any stand-up comedian was surprised about the Katt Williams interview. Now, was the stuff true or not? That's not for me to say. That's not my era of comedy. That's not my comedy class. I was just an observer and watcher like you all. But Katt Williams, won. He said, on a personal note, this brother said he read 3,000 books a day as a child. Well, no, a year. Was it a year? 3,000 books somehow was inserted into this, where it sounded like he probably read a total of 100,000 books. Like, I don't know if that's true, and I'm not going to discount that brother, but what I will say is a masterful comedians have the ability to weave real life experiences and embellishments into a fantastic story and deliver it to the audience in a very funny way. That's a master. He also said he ran like a 4.4 in the 50-yard dash. Like, so, my brother, you're 52. There's some places that we got to draw the line. He even did a follow-up clip with him running in the University of Memphis's basketball gym, and it looked like he was going fast, and they timed it, but that was not 50 yards. That brother ran 20 yards. Like, I got to say something. I ain't gonna say address the comedy beef, but I'm gonna address the 50-yard dash enough. He ain't even stretch. Like, I don't know. Other things he did say. He said Steve Harvey had a hair unit. I thought we all knew Steve Harvey had that hair unit. But again, that goes to show you that some things that people talk about, other people aren't privy to. Because I thought we knew about the hair unit. But I guess people didn't. That he said Steve Harvey was stealing jokes. I don't know if Steve Harvey was stealing jokes. They did then dig up the Twitter sleuths, pulled up the old clips of the side-by-side, the Steve Harvey material, and whoever it was they think that he stole from. Katt Williams also shouted out Mark Curry, who is great. Let me tell you something. One person out of all them people that I have met and had interaction with is Mark Curry. And Mark Curry is solid. He funny. He is always a student of comedy. He embraces young comedians. He ain't one of them people who be like the old head comics. Mark Curry likes to surround himself with new energy so he can get new ideas. He's one of them collaborative. If you get off stage and he got some tags, he gonna tag you up. He'll ask you what you thought about his material and what you think can make it better. Mark Curry is solid. Okay, let me say that first. But then Katt Williams talked about how Steve Harvey took the premise of hanging with Mr. Cooper and then made his own show, the Steve Harvey Show. Katt Williams said the entertainer was the joke thief. Okay, there was some Twitter sleuths found a side by side with that. He shouted out Bernie Mac. Said Bernie Mac is the king of comedy, which I agree with. The king of comedy. Bernie Mac is and will be that guy. He just had it. There's also conversations on a side note when people say, would Bernie Mac's comedy be able to stand up today? Because some of the things he said back in the day, you can't really say right now. Comics adjust. Master comedians adjust. So do I think Bernie Mac would have still been great? Absolutely. Katt Williams talked about Ricky Smiley. About how on next Friday after next, how Ricky Smiley was on Club Shay Shay before and said some stuff that wasn't true, and he called out Ricky and pulled up some receipts. The Twitter sleuth was trying the information on that. Even had the dig old Ice Cube up and had him respond. He talked about the Illuminati, how people industry plants. You name it, Katt Williams talked about it. And I didn't even finish the interview. I got to maybe like a minute 50 and I got worn out. Okay. Somebody said it best. That thing was longer than The Color Purple. Okay. I did not know it was, but it was. But overall, Roy Wood Jr. said it best on social media. Somebody asked him his opinion about what was going on. And he said, and I'm paraphrasing, when you go to the cookout and your older uncles be fighting and going off with each other, the nephews and the nieces gotta just sit back and watch them and wait till they tire themselves out. We cannot insert ourselves into what they got going on. We cannot jump in and try to, no, don't do that. Don't chill out. Nope. We just gotta let these old heads duke it out. because it seemed like they're going to be duking it out for quite some time. Cedric the Entertainer made a comment and responded. Ricky Smiley responded. Hell, I didn't even mention, Katt Williams mentioned Ludacris. Like, Ludacris even responded. So I'm just going to stand back and watch. But do comedians be having beef? Absolutely. Is the beef more so within male comedians than women? Yep. Because I can name more comics of the male persuasion that got more beef than the women. Let them keep it a buck. Will there be a next tier of comedy beef within other generations? Yep. Is there comedy beef happening right now, or people talking shit about other comedians who ain't old and considered up and coming? Mm-hmm. Will I ever step out and say what that is? Nope. Because one thing is for sure, and we see this right now. If you're not a comic and you ain't directly connected to a comic, you ain't know none of this shit was going on. You ain't know none of this. Because we keep it in-house. We a family. Like a giant tree. I watched Dreamgirls the other day. We a family. Okay? So, with that said, what do y'all think about the Katt Williams interview? What did y'all think was real and fake? From the perception of, or from the perspective of somebody who's not in stand-up comedy, what did y'all think? How did y'all take it? Excited to hear y'all thoughts about this. Hit me up. Let me know. You can find me on social media at Cornelia. On this week's episode of Black News, we talked about our 2024 goals. We also gave a quick update about Jonathan Majors and who is actually his Coretta Scott King. Touched on Simone Biles and her husband, the podcast they were on over the break. We also discussed the backlash that Oprah received around the color purple and fair pay amongst the actors. And we also discussed the Katt Williams interview on the Club Shay Shay podcast. Let me know your thoughts about all of these topics, some or none, and I'll check back with you guys next time. That's it for this week's episode of Black News, y'all. Thanks again for supporting the podcast by sharing, liking, subscribing, and rating 5 stars on your favorite podcast app. To find more information about me, you can check me out at Cornelia on social media, as well as on my website, which is cornelia.com. And as always, thanks for supporting, and I'll be back next week with new topics and a new episode.